You are listening to the Gate 7 International Podcast, a podcast connecting Olympiacos fans from Melbourne to Baltimore, from London to Piraeus. We are 4 Olympiacos fans from every corner of the world, bringing you news and interviews of the team you love in English. With new episodes twice a week, you'll never lose the latest updates and stories of the team you love. This is our team, our city, and our land. Man Onyekuru. You're listening to the Gate 7 International Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Gate 7 International Podcast. We've got a great show lined up for you today with a wonderful special guest. We are here to talk about Europa League match preview. Fenerbahce versus Olympiacos is taking place tomorrow, Thursday evening, for the second game of the Europa League Group Stages. Lambro, how are we feeling, man?
Doing excellent. Doing really good tonight. Excited for the game tomorrow. There's been some good football this week. I haven't watched the games yet from tonight, but last night was fun. So I'm excited for tomorrow night. Hopefully some fun things will be going down too.
Fantastic. If you haven't checked it out already, head over to our website at www.gate7international.com. You'll find match preview there by our guy, Olympiacos France, Martial. Great match preview. Some nice takes in there. Could Mathieu Valbuena be the magician or the X Factor tomorrow? Let's see. But without further ado, we do have a special guest with us today, joining us live from Turkey. Her name is Rezzan Yetis. I spelt her name wrong there. My apologies. Rezzan.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing? Welcome.
I'm doing super good. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thanks for joining us today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So I'm gonna start with spelling my name. It's Rezzan Yetis. I'm 26 years old. I work for a TV sports channel called Tivibu Spor in Turkey, based in Istanbul as well. So I cover football matches, especially the Super League, the Turkish Super League teams, starting with Fenerbahce, also Galatasaray and Beşiktaş too. So I've been working for this channel for about a year now, but I've also worked for digital platforms as well, for example, Goal Turkey and Mackolik. And before that, I have worked for 442 Turkey. So I've started with 442 Turkey and also Goal Turkey, Mackolik, and I'm right now, I'm working for a TV sports channel, like I said before, Tivibu Spor it's called. So it's my first year. I've completed my first year in here, and I enjoy it. I love football. Since I was a little kid, I've been watching Fenerbahce's games as well. But other than Fenerbahce, also I've been following the European teams, especially the Premier League clubs, and I support Liverpool in England. So that's all I can say for myself.
How do you like Kostas Tsimikas?
Yeah, actually, I've expected more from him. Now he's growing and he's playing more in the starting 11. I think Jurgen Klopp believes in him too. He uses him too much in Premier League, and also he tries to use him in the European games as well. So we expect more, and I think he can do that. He's a promising kid.
We love Kostas Tsimikas. We're still trying to replace him, and you can't see the tears, but I'm still crying inside.
No, but I can feel it.
Olympiakos Turkiye, Kalispera komşu. Hello, neighbor, our friend Olympiakos Turkey, who we know from Twitter. Thanks for joining, my friend. Where do we start? How is this season? They're top of the league. Has it been convincing or not so convincing? How would you say Fenerbahce is doing ahead of tomorrow?
Actually, we should start from the summertime because, as you may know, Fenerbahce had changed the manager at the end of the season, because last season was really chaotic from the managerial part, because They have started with another manager and they have changed it. They have completed the season with another manager called Emre Belezoğlu. You may have known him before, but the president didn't want to continue with him. He tried to bring another managers. He tried to bring really good managers, really big managers. They have talked with big star managers, but at the end of the day, Vitor Pereira came and Vitor Pereira knew Fenerbahce before because he worked for Fenerbahce before, and it's his second time in the club. The Fenerbahce fans were really surprised when Vitor Pereira came to the team, but they didn't know. They didn't quite feel very well with him, because when he left the team before, they expected more from Vitor Pereira because he had really star players, for example, Nani, Robin van Persie, but he couldn't be successful. It's the second time, but fans started to believe in it. Fans started to believe in him after like 7 matches in the Super League. Fenerbahce is now top of the league. They have won 5 games and they have just 1 draw, and they have just lost 1 game. They have 16 points right now, and Fenerbahce is the best team if we talk about conceding goals. Fenerbahce is now top of the league as well. They have just conceded 5 goals. So we can say Fenerbahce's defensive part is really, really growing. It's really promising. But it's really early to say Fenerbahce is the biggest champions candidate in the Super League, because there are too many strong teams other than Fenerbahce. We can say Trabzonspor, we can say Beşiktaş, who they are competing in the Champions League too. But Fenerbahce is a really, really good, and they are really strong candidate when it comes to Super League championship.
It's interesting you talking highly of Vitor Pereira. We talked about it a bit off camera. Of course, not my favorite coach at Olympiacos when he left. I remember when he incited the riot against Panathinaikos fans.
Yeah.
Beautiful moment. I think he was handed a fine or suspended jail sentence, but that was beautiful. His tactics were shocking. Franco Jara, does everyone remember that striker? Tragic. I think people could drop in the comments what they think about Vitor Pereira, but I don't think it'll be highly. So it's interesting to see that he's doing so well. And my mind immediately goes to some of the players that Fenerbahce has. Dimitris Pelkas comes to mind, Greek international, of course. Was all right at PAOK, but has seemed to blown up the past season. And also big name Mesut Ozil, who people in Greece have been reporting will not play tomorrow. Still not sure about that. And then the striker Ener Valencia, I think that's his name. He's doing very well as well, I think.
Yeah.
So there's star power on the team. We can say that, I guess.
Yeah, that 3 names, especially Ener Valencia, is like Fenerbahce's biggest threat. It's going to be the biggest threat tomorrow too. He's not a pure striker, but he plays as a striker, and he offers too many striker positions. He scores too many goals. He may be a better striker than the other ones, but Fenerbahce transferred strikers at the end of the deadline. The deadline day. Berisha, maybe you have known him, maybe you have heard him before. But until that moment, and still Pereira uses him as a striker. And I think Ener Valencia is doing really, really good. And he's going to be really good against Olympiacos if he starts. And I believe he's 99% he's going to start in the starting 11. But when it comes to Mesut Ozil, before we start broadcasting, I thought Mesut Ozil is going to play in the starting 11. But I have just seen the news that Mesut Ozil is having some sort of sickness. Maybe he will not be in the starting 11. He didn't train with the rest of the team, so we will see if he's going to be all right tomorrow. Maybe he can start at the bench. So that's the latest news about Mesut Ozil. He may not be able to play in the starting 11 tomorrow against Olympiacos. And you've mentioned Pelkas. He was one of the star players last season, even if Fenerbahce didn't win the league. But if we talk about individually about the players, he was the best one. but he dislocated his shoulder before at the start of the season. Now he's getting better. He's playing. He's getting some minutes. He played like 5 or 6 minutes in the last Super League game, and I believe he's going to start tomorrow against Olympiacos as well.
So Rezzan, Fenerbahce, they like to play 3-5-2, so with 3 at the back and 2 strikers. What is that going to look like up front? So we know that Ener Valencia will probably be one of the 2 strikers. Are we likely to see Belgas playing a little bit behind him up front and five midfielders? How does that Fenerbahce lineup start to take shape in your eyes ahead of tomorrow's game?
Actually, I believe they are going to play with 4 midfielders. It's because Vitor Pereira is preferring like 3-4-3, just one striker and playing with 2 other players. I thought Mesut Ozil, Valencia, and Dimitrios Pelkas would start tomorrow, but given the news about Mesut Ozil, if he's sick, I believe one of the other players would play instead of him. So, before Vitor Pereira left Fenerbahce, he tried to bring 3 defenders. He used that system, like when Fenerbahce played Monaco in the Champions League playoff. He used that system, and people really criticized him. And he still insists in that system. And I believe he's getting really, really better on that system. And Vitor Pereira is a really aggressive and emotional guy when it comes to his judgments about football. When I watched him today in the pre-match conference, there were some questions still because the media is still questioning the three defender system. And he said that people always know better than football coaches. And I really can't stand that idea. I just quote him because, like I just said, he's really aggressive when the people criticize him. So he said that you know better than me, you always know better than me, but I am the coach, I take responsibility, I use this team, I use these players, etc., etc. But if we look at the Fenerbahce and preseason and now, like after 7 Super League games, I believe this 3 defender system is doing really good. And defensive part is Fenerbahce's really biggest advantage. Like they just conceded 5 league games in the Super League. I believe that would be a nice proof for Olympiacos too. Attila Zalai, he was one of the other star players last season. He was like a wall against the opponent's players, opponent strikers, and he is now having a companion called Kim Min-jae. Fenerbahce transferred this player this year, like before the season, and now Zalai and Min-jae are really good pairs. And Vitor Pereira mentioned them in the pre-match conference too. He said that they are the best defensive duo that I have ever worked with, and I believe he's not that really wrong, given the statistics Kim Min-jae and Zalai when they played together. So, last but not least, I believe Ener Valencia is going to play up front, and I believe Pelkas will play with him too. Fenerbahce will start again with 3 defenders as usual, and Bright Osay Samuel on the right and Ferdi Kadıoğlu on the left. I believe they are going to play like this, and also Luis Gustavo would be on the at the center of the midfield, because Luis Gustavo is like an irreplaceable player for Fenerbahce this season. This season and last season too. Like there are too many alternatives for any kind of players in the starting 11. Zalai, Pelkas, even Mesut Ozil has an alternative, because Fenerbahce got a really good squad. They like a squad that is really, really good. But Luis Gustavo is the only player that has no that has no alternative in the Fenerbahce squad. He was the one who rested the less in the last season, and he's still playing 90 minutes every game. Like, he's not a young player, but he's really experienced, and he's a really, really good leader on the pitch. So I believe Fenerbahce would start like these players, but I don't know if Vitor Pereira changes his mind. And I believe Mesut Ozil is going to be really decisive if he plays or not.
So interesting. Gustavo is a famous old name. Like, I feel like he's been in Turkey for some years now. So
Yeah.
maybe he's lost. I don't know. People have lost track of him, but it's so interesting that he's still such an important player. I feel like he was such an important player back in the day as well when he was it for Bayern Munich, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But another comment we got is about this guy who I was also wondering from, was it Los Angeles Football Club? Diego Rossi was, I think, a deadline day transfer, something along those lines.
Yeah, yes.
He's quite an exciting player as well. And to be honest with you, Mesut Ozil has never performed well against Olympiacos. Costa, can I say that? He's always been lazy. He doesn't run. He doesn't track back.
No.
Do you remember the game at the Emirates? He was useless. It was brilliant watching him play. Like, their midfield was Ceballos, Ozil, and Xhaka was miserable. And oh god, I think that's one of the reasons we won. But
that game that Arsenal beat us 3-0 actually, where Giroud scored a hat-trick.
Joel Campbell played well that game. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Joel Campbell played well, but I think Ozil played in that game as well. But okay,
I just think the pace of Rossi, I've seen a little bit of him. I think it's much more deadly than Mesut Ozil. No offense to Mesut Ozil. I don't know exactly how he's playing in Turkey, but I just have memories of him walking around and not doing much against us. And I loved Mesut Ozil when he was younger, but I don't know.
Yeah. If we talk about Mesut Ozil in Fenerbahce, you might be right, because he hasn't got the time to improve. He hasn't got the time to be on his best period, because when he arrived Fenerbahce, he hadn't played football properly for like 10 or 11 months in Arsenal. So he was not in the best shape of Mesut Ozil. But he never really needed to run too much. He really never needed to think too much on the pitch. When he gets the ball, whenever he's playing for Fenerbahce, even if he performs like, for example, he starts in the starting 11 and he plays 80 minutes really, really bad. But when he gets that tiny little bit of football intelligence on his mind on the pitch, that's enough for him. And he just crosses the ball. He sees the opportunity. He creates the opportunity to score a goal. And that's enough for him and for Fenerbahce fans too, because Fenerbahce fans really, really wanted to see him play for Fenerbahce someday. And their dreams came true. So they don't question Mr. Ozil's qualities and they believe in him. But he needs really, really long time to get in the best shape of him, get in the best form. And Vitor Pereira really tries to bring the best of him in the matches. But I believe he still needs time to get in the form, because 9 months, 11 months is a really, really long time to play football, especially when you are playing at the top level. He came from Premier League, but he didn't play a Premier League game like since when? So it's been a really long time. But
I think we can.
I'm sorry, I forgot to talk about Diego Rossi too. Yes, he was a deadline day transfer, and not too many football fans in Turkey knew about him, because MLS, yeah, it's growing, but that league will never be that popular like the 5 biggest European leagues, like England, like Premier League, La Liga, Serie A. It will never be that much popular. People in Turkey prefer to watch those games other than Turkey. But Diego Rossi was a promising talent, and they have searched about him when he arrived Fenerbahce. And I believe in the last 2 and 3 matches, he was showing his qualities on the pitch. He's a really fast guy. His pace is really absolutely amazing. Sometimes he reaches a level like Bright Osai Samuel doing at the right flank. So I believe he's one of those guys who needs time, like Berisha and Max Meyer as well.
Well, he sounds like an exciting player, but talking about Mesut Ozil, Rezzan, maybe one day we do another podcast and we can talk just about him, because I feel like Mesut Ozil deserves a lot of airtime.
Talk about Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, but look, I think there are going to be some interesting choices for both managers tomorrow, because it sounds like, I mean, Ozil is a last-minute dropout, and from what we were hearing coming from Turkey, Vitor Pereira had talked to Mesut Ozil and was expecting him to play a part tomorrow. So it looks like his plans may have changed last minute. It also looks like our plans are changing last minute as well. We were expecting Jan Villa to be playing in midfield tomorrow. It now looks as if Jan Villa is not being considered. He's still struggling to overcome an injury that's been keeping him out for the last 2 to 3 weeks. He actually played with injection against Standard Liège and then missed all the games that we had. Made a short cameo appearance on the weekend in a 2-0 victory away from home against Asteras. So that might see Pierre Koundé come into midfield and Bouchalakis dropping back deeper. Lambro, how are you feeling about that? What do you see for our lineup
like
tomorrow?
I always do on these previews, I'm going to give you the starting 11, and usually it's quite accurate. So I'm going to go, Vaclik's going to play in goal. At right back, we're going to have Mikhail Karbovnik, the Polish youngster, has been playing great. Cisse, Papastathopoulos. Left back, Oleg Reabchuk. You're going to have Koundé on the left side. You're going to have in the center Andreas Bouchalakis, and on the right, Mari Camara, who may be playing up next to the striker in a 4-4-2 type thing. And then we're going to have Henry Onyekuru on one wing. And I'm expecting to see Yorgos Masouras start on the other wing. We're going to need his defensive ability and tracking back. So that, I'm pretty sure, I'm 90%. I'm feeling good about this one. There is always a shout. Mathieu Valbuena coming back to Fenerbahce could start. He was at the press conference. We saw it. We'll see.
Fans really curious about if Valbuena is going to play or not against Fenerbahce tomorrow.
He's going to play. He's going to play, but he's not going to start. I'll say that. Costa, I don't know if you agree.
What about Gary Rodriguez and Onyekuru? Could those players will be included in the starting 11?
Gary Rodriguez isn't in the squad because he was signed after the registration deadline. He was a free transfer, and he's still coming up to match fitness, so he's not available. Onyekuru, it's 50-50. I think one of the positions on the wing is open. I think one is for Masouras, and the other one is between Aguibou Camara, Henry Onyekuru, and possibly Mathieu Valbuena. But I don't think Valbuena will start the game. I think that the problem with Valbuena is that if you put him from the beginning, he's not a player that likes to really keep position on the field. He likes to go everywhere. He likes to have a free role.
For Fenerbahce, I really believe in you, because he was not a good player when he started in the starting 11, but when it comes to coming off from the bench and changing the dynamics of the game, he's the best one. He's your guy. So that would be a really good choice. He starts in the bench.
He's a bit like Mesut Ozil in that respect, that he might come on and he might not do anything, and then 1 second he'll get the ball and he'll put a cross in, he'll take a free kick, he'll take a nice set piece, and we'll score. So for me right now, as a 37-year-old, I think that, you know, he's not really my favorite player right now, but I have that respect for him, that he's a player that can still put his mark on the game. And he did it last season when we played against Marseille at home. He was the one that delivered the ball for a Hassan header in the 92nd minute that gave us the win that put us through to the Europa League, essentially. So there is a possibility, and that was against his former club, Olympique Marseille. He's now going back to Turkey, to a stadium where he was adored and loved by the fans. So it kind of has that storyline to it again, possibly, that Valbuena could be an important player or a potential X factor in tomorrow's game. I expect he'll make an appearance. 15, 20 minutes. I'm very curious to see how we're going to line up, particularly on the wings, and who's going to start up front. We actually did a poll on this, and we were asking fans, who do you think is going to start tomorrow, Youssef El Arabi or Tiquinho? So Youssef El Arabi is our talisman. He's been our top scorer the last 2 seasons. He's 34 years of age. He really is just a killer striker. If he gets the ball in the box 8-9 times out of 10, he's going to score. He's quite good on with his feet. He's good in the air. He's a complete striker, but he's 34. And now we've brought in this guy, Tiquinho, who played for Porto some years ago. You might remember him. And he scored 3 goals in the last 2 games. He's regaining confidence after coming from China with a long, he's had a long absence of football for a few months. That's a big decision for the manager tomorrow. I'm also expecting a potential surprise in the lineup tomorrow, whether that's a certain player or whether it's a formation. My God, if Pedro Martins decides to go for a 4-4-2 in Turkey tomorrow with El Arabi and Tiquinho, I don't know.
No way.
There could be some surprises tomorrow. Lambro, you don't think so?
I don't think so. And also, I want to point out one last thing. We were told from Galatasaray fans, Henry Onyekuru likes a game against Fenerbahce.
Yeah,
So
actually, I was just waiting for you guys to finish your words, because I'm really curious about especially Onyekuru, because he scored a goal against Fenerbahce when Galatasaray won the game. So Fenerbahce fans would be really on the line when they watch Onyekuru playing a ball against the Fenerbahce goalpost, like towards Altay Bayındır, because they have faced before. And Onyekuru knows really, really well Fenerbahce and Fenerbahce Stadium. So, like you've mentioned about Tiquinho and El Arabi, but Fenerbahce fans will think that Henry Onyekuru is the biggest threat for Olympiacos against Fenerbahce. They will see him as the biggest threat on the pitch tomorrow, because they have seen him. They have seen his qualities. He's a really good player. He was playing really good for Galatasaray, and before the season, before the new season, Galatasaray fans really waited for him to come again. Galatasaray tried to bring him, but they couldn't afford him because they are in a, like, the president had changed. They were in a financial like a tiny crisis, but they couldn't just afford him. They couldn't afford his they couldn't buy him. They couldn't spend 4 or 5 millions just for Henry Onyekuru. So they have waited, but well, if Galatasaray fans want to see him, they could just go over to Kadıköy, to Fenerbahçe Stadium, and see him in another jersey, in Olympiacos jersey, I guess.
Can Galatasaray fans actually go there? Won't be afraid for their lives?
No, just out of curiosity. If they like him that much, maybe they could just try. But Galatasaray is going to play with Marseille tomorrow, so they will be just sitting at home waiting for Galatasaray to get a point, get 3 points against Marseille. So they will not be going there. I don't think so.
And
Okay.
as we wrap up, we're gonna do a score prediction. And one last thing I want to know: are there stadium restrictions? We're hearing a great atmosphere is waiting. Is it full stadium? Is it 70% like some other countries?
No, it's 50% of the stadium's capacity. So there are still restrictions, but fans attending. And this match is quite important for Fenerbahce fans too, because this is going to be the first European League game for Fenerbahce fans. They will be watching their beloved team in the stadium against a European team for the first time in this season. And Fenerbahce were not very successful when it came to European Cups games, and because of the pandemic, they couldn't just attend the matches. So after a really, really long period, Fenerbahce fans will attend the game for European League game for the first time after a really, really long period. So it's going to be really exciting for them too. They would put on a really good show just for this occasion.
And hopefully the Olympiacos players will rise to the occasion as well. It's been a long time since they've played in a hostile atmosphere. We'll be looking forward to see how they respond to that as well. I mean, I'd say they're quite used to it. Most of the players, because when we go away from home, anywhere actually, let alone when we play PAOK, Panathinaikos away from home, it's quite hostile, quite animated. So looking forward to seeing that tomorrow. There is one question before we do match predictions from our friend Burak Özgül. He's asking you, Rezzan, what do you think Fenerbahce's weakest point is?
Well, I would say like the right and the left wings are Fenerbahce's weakest points because Vitor Pereira sometimes changes those players. Sometimes he plays Ferdi up left, and sometimes he plays him at up right. And actually, Ferdi originally he plays at the right flank, but most of the times he's playing at the left flank. So I believe wing players, wing left, like right and left wings, are Fenerbahce's weakest points. So if we look from the Olympiacos side, Olympiacos maybe one of the biggest advantage of Olympiacos is that like the wings, like you've just mentioned Onyekuru, he's a really dangerous player. He's a really dangerous player on the wing. So if we compare these teams from the wing, like from the right and left wings, I think Fenerbahce is getting low against Olympiacos. So Olympiacos is going to they would need to push those players if they want to create some chances. So I would say right and left wing, Fenerbahce's weakest points ahead of the game.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because those players that I've just mentioned, Osayi and Ferdi, they're really potential. They're young, they're fast, but they play with the ball too much. They don't just have those capacity like Pelkas and Mesut Ozil in the intelligence part I speak. They play with the ball too much. They think too much. They don't act quickly. They're fast. They bring the ball in the final third, but that's it. They don't just finish it. They don't just finish the position. They just leave it. So I believe they could do more in time, but right now they're not enough.
Are Fenerbahce fans generally happy with how the team is playing right now? Like it's a good atmosphere, the fans, the team, everything's going well at the club. So everyone's looking forward to this game tomorrow.
Yeah, they're excited, but they're happy with the results. But when it comes to playing the game, well, some of the fans think that Fenerbahce should play like a champion candidate. So they expect more chances created. They expect a high XG after the match, after the 90 minutes of the match. They expect more passing, more shouts. They just want Fenerbahce to conquer all of the game. But when they look at the scoreboard, yeah, Fenerbahce wins the games. But when they look at the game, they're not satisfied with the game right now. They expect more from Fenerbahce. They believe with this squad depth, with these star players like Mesut Ozil, Pelkas, Valencia, and also in the defensive parts like the goalkeeper Altay, defenders Zalai, Kim Min-jae, they think Fenerbahce should do more in the games. Not just it shouldn't be enough just winning the game. They just want Fenerbahce to play like a top European team could play. Like, for example,
So funny. It's so funny you're saying this because I feel like I'm hearing the same thing 6-7 years ago when Vitor Pereira was at Olympiacos, the worst football you've ever seen. But then people were saying, "Oh, he gets results, but your eyes afterwards are hurting," and so it's like we're hearing the same thing.
Our eyes are bleeding. We don't want to see people like this sometimes. But
Costa, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like hearing if I could record myself from 7 years ago.
Yeah,
I
I
swear.
don't agree. I don't agree that Vitor Pereira plays Fenerbahce real in that position. No, this season Fenerbahce is getting it's growing. I believe in time they're going to play better. They are going to win the games, but they will also play better. They just need time because there are too many new players in the squad right now. Those players didn't even know each other that much. They need to communicate on the pitch. They need to know each other very well. They need to adapt to the system, and they also need to adapt to themselves. Like 11 players, they should know each other very well. So to do that, you need time. Vitor Pereira needs time, and these players also need time. So I don't think maybe comparing the first edition of Vitor Pereira in Fenerbahce, I could agree with you. But this time, I think he's trying some things new. He's getting some updates, some upgrades in his playing system.
Interesting
I,
for
Lambro,
sure.
I know you were laughing because you don't like Vitor Pereira, but
I hate
Vitor
him.
Pereira did come in during. I think he came in January. He wasn't managing Olympiacos from the beginning of the season. So if I remember well, we ended up winning the cup and winning the league as well. So
It was
yeah.
the Franco
Anyway,
Fara, let's say the side of his chest. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
It's been a few
Yeah,
years,
well,
so we can say it.
Well, let's say he got the. My dad was asking me about Vitor Ferreira earlier. He's like, "Oh, is that the guy that did the gestures to the Panathinaikos fans, and he got he did something at the Ajax game where Kasami,
Yes,
I think he was
caused
swearing
2
at the
riots.
fans."
Honestly, Vitor Pereira, he caused the riot at Leoforos, I remember, and then him and Kasami went down to the Ike fans after the looked like handball goal and gave them some words or gestures, and then a riot ensued at Owaka. Beautiful years, beautiful. It brings back good memories.
I was giggling a little bit, not because of Pereira, but because of listening to Rezzan. It was like listening to her talk about Olympiacos to a certain extent, just talking about the fans not being satisfied enough with the results, that we're getting the results now in September. We're waiting for the team to gel, to find more chemistry. It's very similar at Olympiacos right now. The team was hit with a COVID outbreak during the summer. We had some key injuries that made us change formation during our Champions League qualification campaign. The football hasn't been great. It's been improving slowly but steadily. And going into tomorrow's game, I think we're very lucky to be top of the group right now, because when we played Antwerp, thank you for correcting me, Eritrolyfki Mastura, it wasn't Standard Liège, it was Antwerp. When we played Antwerp, we were very lucky to win, I thought. That puts us top of the table. And going into tomorrow's game, predictions, I'm gonna say for me, I'd be happy with a draw.
Okay.
I would be happy with a draw tomorrow.
Of course.
I see 2-2. 2-2 is my prediction for tomorrow's game. I think it's going to be a very interesting midfield battle as well. I like Luis Gustavo, great player. I think it's going to be an interesting tussle with him and Bukhalagis. They're both left-footed. They're both quite slow in terms of their movement, but fast with their brain. So I think that's an interesting matchup in midfield. And if Pierre Koundé does start tomorrow, that's somebody I really want to keep an eye on. And somebody that you should keep an eye on, Rezzan, and Fenerbahce fans in particular. Madi Camara is the star of the team, in my opinion. So we've got 3 players in midfield there that are relatively, at good age, young, with something to prove, ambition. So very interesting game tomorrow, and I think if we manage a draw, it sets us up well for the Frankfurt double encounters. Lambro, what have you got?
With Jan and Via fit, I thought we were going to win tomorrow night. That was going to be my shocking prediction. But I am less on the Andreas Bukhalakis hype train as the rest of the members on this podcast. I still think he struggles in Europe. I still think he's too slow. I still think he makes terrible mistakes against a clinical team will lead to mistakes. So personally, I not feeling great going into the game now without Mvia. I've said it over and over, easily the most important player on the team. When he's not there, this is a different football team. And I'm going to be positive, so I'm going to go for a 1-1. I was going to go for a 2-1 if Mvia was playing, but I'm not feeling great about it. And one thing I really want to say, I saw this comment, someone asking, is Ronnie Lopez going to be playing? Let me see if I found it. Olympiacos, Turkey. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. That's the honest answer, everyone. Maybe for
Why
2
not?
minutes.
Why not? Maybe he can come on tomorrow and he can finally do something.
Maybe we're up 4-0 and Ronnie Lopez can run around in circles. That's fine by me. But at this moment, God, no. So that's my prediction.
So actually, I was going to say a draw would be enough for Fenerbahce if they had won the first game against Eintracht Frankfurt. But there's already a draw in Fenerbahce's hands. So a draw is not going to be enough for club and also for the fans. So they're going to push really, really hard for a win against Olympiacos. It's not going to be easy, but I think Fenerbahce players, Fenerbahce squad got the quality to do anything, like to do the best they could. And I don't think Mesut Ozil is going to be a huge missing for Fenerbahce because, like I've already mentioned it before, he's not in the good shape. He's not in his best shape. So it's not going to be a huge missing for the rest of the team. I believe Vitor Pereira is going to bring someone who could replace him against a team like against a historical, against one of the biggest teams in Europe, also in the Greece. So I believe Fenerbahce is going to be really strong when they have defense because they're going to play at their home. So I think like Fenerbahce is going to get a win like 2-1. Olympiacos is not going to be easy. They are going to score a goal. I believe it's not going to be a clean sheet for Fenerbahce, even if they got a really promising, talented goalkeeper and defenders like Zalai and Minjay. They will try to do their best to stop your threats like Onyekuru, Tiquinho, Soares, Kamara. But I believe Fenerbahce is going to win this game 2-1.
I promise you we're going to score tomorrow. We're going to score tomorrow, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. I just don't think, if my head is, I'm going to say it, if it was my head predicting, I'm predicting the same thing as you, but I am not. So I'm saying 1-1. That is my prediction.
My prediction was the same, but if Fenerbahce won against Eintracht Frankfurt, I would go with 1-1, and it would be like satisfying for both teams. But it's not going to be enough. They're going to need 3 points because it's the second game, and they're going to play with Antwerp on the third week, and there are 2 ex-Fenerbahce players playing for Antwerp, and they're playing really, really good. Because when Frey was playing for Fenerbahce, he was really bad, and Samatta last season, he was a torture to watch for both Fenerbahce fans and also other football fans do. He didn't do anything. Fenerbahce fans expected too much. They after Fenerbahce paid for him like 6 million euros, he didn't do anything. He had no quality. Like he had lost his mind on the pitch. But when you watch him at Antwerp, he's completely different.
And he's good. He's
and
not bad at all.
Yeah,
that was my opinion. He's not bad
and
at all.
Also Frey too. So Fenerbahce is going to struggle against Antwerp too. So they need to win this game. It's going to be 99% win. They should win it. They're going to go on the pitch. They will know they have to win this game. And I believe they will too.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but wow, what a match preview this has been. My mouth is absolutely watering going into tomorrow's game. I can't wait to fall asleep, get work over with tomorrow, and then go and watch the game. It's an early kickoff, isn't it? It's 7:45, I think, Greek time.
Yeah.
So that's 6:45 Central European time. I think that's 12:45 US Eastern Standard Time. If you guys haven't set your alarms yet, if you haven't booked your lunch break working from the office in DC, I'm speaking to you, Ari. That's our other co-host. I'm sure Ari's got his setup all ready for tomorrow. Rezzan, thank you so much for sharing your insights, spending time with us today. I don't want to say it, but I don't want to say this, but I will. You're the first lady that's been on our show, and it's been so refreshing speaking to a female about football. So I want to give you a big shout out. Thank you so much, and thank you also to Chris Wheatley, who made this introduction. Our friend from London that does reporting for Arsenal. Rezzan, Football London. Thank you, Lambro. Rezzan, is there anything you'd like to say before closing? Anything you'd like to say? Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It was my first time doing a live show, especially in another language other than my native language. It was a really different experience for me too. I really enjoyed it talking to you guys, and I wish both teams a good luck. And I believe like Olympiacos fans, Fenerbahce fans, they're going to want their team to win. But just as a football fan, it's going to be a really joyful match to watch. So I believe it's going to be an exciting game. I don't care who's going to win it or not, who's going to win it, who's going to lose it. I will just try to enjoy the game just by watching it. And again, thank you so much for inviting me. It was a really, really good show for me too.
Our great pleasure. I'll make a wish, actually. My wish is that both clubs end up qualifying from this group. So that's there you go. Olympiacos can finish first, though, and Fenerbahce can finish second, if that's okay.
Well, I don't want to say anything about. I want Fenerbahce to win. I would like Fenerbahce to win, and I believe they are going to win it too. But at the end of the day, I just want Fenerbahce to qualify, no matter the place, and because Fenerbahce and also the Turkish football really, really needs that, because our teams didn't do very well recently in the European leagues, in the European Cups, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, Beşiktaş, and Trabzonspor, and the other teams. So Turkish football really, really needs some of our clubs to be successful at the European area. So I hope Fenerbahce and Galatasaray do well on their matches tomorrow.
Similarly, Greek clubs are in a very similar situation to the Turkish clubs. We need the points for the coefficient. Olympiacos has been fighting alone for the last however many years we've all forgotten. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks again to our guest, Rezzan Yetis. You can follow her on Twitter at Rezzan_Yetis. It's going across the screen at the bottom there. Rezzan, in Turkish, you say teşekkürler, iyi geceler.
Yeah, teşekkürler ve iyi geceler.
Very good. To anybody that doesn't know Turkish, that means thank you and good night. Yeah. We are the Gate 7 International Podcast. Thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you haven't done that already. Until tomorrow, we'll be back for post-match after the game. Καλό βράδυ, καλημέρα, καλησπέρα, wherever you are in the world. Take care.
Bye.
You just listened to an episode of the Gate 7 International Podcast, a podcast connecting Olympiacos fans from Brussels to Tokyo, from Toronto to Geneva. We are 4 Olympiacos fans from every corner of the world, bringing you news and interviews of the team you love in English. With new episodes twice a week, you will never miss out on the latest updates and stories of the team you love. If you liked what you heard, make sure to follow us on social media at Gate7INTL, give us a subscribe on YouTube, or even leave a review on all our podcast channels. Until next time, this is our team, our city and our story. Θρύλος είσαι. Στο μυαλό κάτι μαγικό.